لتحصلوا على الملايين ليس لكم إلا المحامي لورنس قاجي، خبرة طويلة في الإصابات وحوادث السقوط والسيارات، يتحدثون لغتكم، يحاربون من أجلكم. المحامي لورنس قاجي، الاستشارات مجانية ولا يستلمون أتعابهم إلا بعد إكمال القضية. زوروهم على 18000 West 9 Mile Road Suite 1400 Southfield. اتصلوا على المحامي لورنس قاجي 248-702-6641 248-702-6641.
أعزائي المستمعين، مساء الخير عليكم وأهلا وسهلا بكم في برنامجنا الممتع اللي كل يوم خميس في الساعة 1. شوية تأخرنا عليكم في دقيقتين 3. إن شاء الله احنا باقين وياكم إلى الساعة 2 بعد الظهر. مستمعينا، معي المحامي لورنس قاجي، نقول له طبعا welcome and congratulations.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here. Thanks again.
وأيضا welcome Mr. John.
Oh, thank you so much for having us. As always, it's a pleasure.
Yes.
طبعا ومعانا العزيزة الأخت تمارا الباراليغل في قاجي لو فيرم. أهلا وسهلا.
أهلا بكم.
طبعا
I missed 2 weeks in a row.
3.
No, 2, right?
3 weeks. 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
This is the third. Yeah.
Yes. So 2 weeks ago, as you know, my youngest daughter was born.
Yes, I know that. And
So
I said congratulations.
My third girl, they're all 3 and under. So we got our hands full.
حلو.
That's
طبعاً.
exciting, though. That's an exciting stage in life.
Yeah. طبعا اليوم راح نحكي عند announcement أول مرة.
صحيح.
مو صح؟
نعم، عندنا خبر.
عندك خبر. You have announcement today.
Yes.
You will announce your what
So
what is
it's
it?
not really an announcement. It's more. It's more of a. It's more of a record that's been broken at our office, and you know, they say that records are meant to be broken, right, John?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, tell us, what's the record, Lawrence?
So we had a new record last week.
Yes.
Of new case signups, and that number was 51.
Number was.
We 51 new signups just in the last month. That's
great.
a lot.
That's great.
Or last week, excuse me,
Last
just in the
week.
last week. That's a lot
خلال أسبوع
of
51 قضية.
دخلت لنا 51 قضية جديدة.
طبعا ألف مبروك. هو يستاهلون صراحة، يعني هو
أكيد.
مكتب راقي، مكتب مذهبي، المحامين مالته والستاف مالته. طبعا هذا شيء
صحيح.
احنا نفتخر به كجالية عراقية وعربية، أنه عندنا هكذا محامين في جاليتنا.
بالضبط. Mr. Sahar said, congrats. Of course, it is something that you would be very proud of because it's not just the name of the law firm, it is the lawyers that work very hard there, and all the staff are, you know, hand by hand and working very hard to make it happen.
That's great.
That's 100% right. And you know, they say, what do they say, that you get out what you put in? Is that the saying?
Yeah.
Right.
يقول لك ايش تزرع تحصد.
هو هذا الحقيقة، يعني
Right.
فعلا لو امشي عدل.
صحيح.
Go straight, and
Yes.
that's it.
And honestly, you know, I opened my law firm 7 years ago.
Yes.
Since then, thankfully, I can pay my bills and all that good stuff, but I have not taken out, you know, any money from the law firm since I've opened up. Every year, the money that I make, I reinvest it in my people and my systems, and just try to keep things moving along.
هو هذا اللي خلاه ناجح طبعا.
يقول صار فاتح المكتب صار لنا 7 سنين.
نعم.
7 سنين الحمد لله. يقول كلها باللاتي مدفوعة، وكل شيء يجي للمكتب أنا ما ألزمه. لو يروح للموظفين الهم لو أسوي يعني أطور المكتب مالتنا همينة.
فعلا هذه أنا أشهد بها.
Yes, that's true.
And you know, I really think, you know, that's you know, one of the reasons why I have, you know, such a great staff. And you know, like you know, it's funny when I looked at all the cases and I was looking at all the referrals, You know, it's a variety, right? It's not just one, you know, one referral or anything like that. It's a variety. You know, we get cases from other lawyers, we get cases from family and friends, current old clients.
Yep.
From Google.
From and
flyers.
And you know why that's
from
so
the station.
Yes,
from
radio too. Look at that.
Radio, yeah.
Yes.
And you know why that's so significant to me and why that's so important to me? You know, obviously I can't take every single call that comes in the office. You know, I don't look at every single thing that goes out, and I can't be involved in every single thing that goes on in my office. So that means my staff is taking care of, you know, my clients, and, you know, they're referring us cases. So that means that they're happy with us. And like I said, the reason it's so important to me is because I'm not the one dealing with every single step of the case. So
Your staff is working with you.
So that means my staff is doing a great job in keeping people happy.
That's good.
Well, we appreciate being here with you. I'll tell you what.
طبعا احنا دخلنا بغير مواضيع اليوم. مواضيع حلوة.
طبعا.
لكن خلينا ندخل في موضوعنا.
أكيد.
موضوعنا شنو هو؟
اليوم راح نحكي our subject today. We got very nice news and it is amazing, but now we are going to go in what our subject is today.
So I think we're going to talk about the Michigan assigned claims process a little bit. What makes people eligible for it? What makes people ineligible for it? What it is and things of that nature.
الموضوع هو كل السهل واحد يقوله. راح اليوم نحكي عن إذا واحد تضرر بحادث سيارة وما عنده انشورنس شلون يقدر يقدم على الانشورنس ويا الميشيغان ستيت.
Okay. Just as a general rule, we're talking about people that are not insured. We're not talking about people that own a car and that decided not to put insurance on their car. We're not talking about those people. We're talking about a passenger, right? You know, or you know, whatever the case may be, and there's no insurance anywhere. That sort of thing.
طبعا كل شيء له يعني مو كل واحد يقدر ياخذ الانشورنس مال الستيت.
صح.
مو كل واحد يقول انا ما راح اسوي انشورنس واروح ويا الستيت.
ما تصير مو كل واحد يقدر.
الاكثريه اللي تصير بانه هو اذا انت كنت الراكب او اذا انت كنت تمشي وانت ما عندك سياره. هاي هيك حالات بس راح نتعمق بيها وراح نمشي يعني خطوه بخطوه.
It could also apply to people that are driving someone else's car that, you know, they didn't know that they didn't have insurance, and obviously they're not called a, you know, constructive owner as we say.
Yeah, and maybe we should even start out by just saying what it is. The Michigan Assigned Claims is an organization, right, that was set up in 1973 at the dawn of the No Fault Act, okay, that basically what it does is if you are eligible for no fault benefits, but there's no what's called higher order priority insurer available, then the MACP will assign you an insurance company, and that insurance company will pay your medical bills. And this prevents people, especially uninsured people, from basically ending up with massive debt as a result of a motor vehicle accident.
شلون يشتغل هذا السيستم خلينا نقول لو الانشورنس مثل ما قلنا مو كل واحد يقدر ياخذه بس هذا يعطى الى الاشخاص اللي هم ما لهم اي سبب بالحادث. وهم يعني لو يكونون الراكب لو مثل ما قلت يكونون يتمشون مشاة لو مثلا مرات واحد ياخذ سيارة صديقة في اليوم عنده شغلة سريعة وهاي حتى الستيت ميشيغان تساعد الشخص حتى لا يوقع بالمصاريف الثقيلة مال الطبابة. فهي تخلي له انشورنس وطبعا بيها هواية تقريبا 4-5 صفحات أسئلة لازم تتجاوب وبعدين يلا
يعني لازم تكون مستحق.
بالضبط.
And that organization is called the Michigan Assigned Claims Plan, also known as the MACP. And that's what we'll be talking about.
اللي هي احنا يعني هي
نختصرها ب4 حروف.
بالضبط اللي هي MACP اللي هي Michigan Association المؤسسة
Yeah.
ميشيغان اللي تعطيك الانشورنس اذا انت ما عندك
إذا ما
انشورنس. ما راح
وإذا ما
ترهم
استحق-
بالانجليزي، ما ترهم
ما ترهم
بالانجليزي.
تسويها بالعربي.
You know, it's interesting. I think, John, Michigan's the only state that has this sort of program, right?
To my knowledge, I certainly don't believe that there's another assigned claims plan that is of an identical nature. There may be some other programs in other states, but I'm not aware of any that is nearly as comprehensive
Definitely a good,
as ours.
good thing to have, you know, being in the state of Michigan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I love Michigan.
yeah, so just to recap, you know,
Yeah.
somebody that got into a car accident that doesn't have their own insurance, there's no insurance in the household.
Mhm.
And you know the main exclusion is you weren't driving your own car with no insurance. You can
Right.
apply through the state for benefits.
اولا مثلا المثال الاول بانه اذا انت تكون راكب ويا واحد بالسياره وصار عندك حادث وانت ما عندك سياره وما عندك انشورنس، لك حق بانه تروح خلال الميشيغان ستيت.
So yeah, maybe we should start with general who's eligible and who's not.
Yeah. So so eligibility, I think we just kind of discussed. But if you want to
Well,
recap.
yeah, I mean, there's because you know, so generally speaking, if you're involved in a motor vehicle accident, you're eligible for no fault benefits in Michigan. But there are 5 exceptions to that, and you just stated the most important one, which is the owner or registrant of their own
Yeah.
vehicle doesn't have
Yeah.
any is not eligible for benefits if they don't insure their vehicle. So that's the first big one, but there are 4 others as well.
الاشخاص اللي ما يقدرون ياخذوها،
نعم.
اكو 4 نقاط
نعم.
اللي هي ما حد يقدر ياخذ هاي، ما حد يقدر يروح عن طريق الميشيغان ستيت. اولا اذا بدك تسوق انت سيارتك الشخصيه
نعم.
وما عندك انشورنس على السياره،
هاي وحده.
And that doesn't only mean that you're a titled owner, right? It could mean
Yes,
what if you're a constructive owner?
that's exactly right.
so-
That becomes an issue.
Yeah. So obviously, probably want to explain to the listeners what a constructive owner can be and what that could.
Yeah, translate
Yeah.
first.
الاونر هو صاحب السياره.
صاحب السيارة.
كونستراكتيف اونر هو مو صاحب السياره بس. مثلا انت تسوق السياره يوميا، انت تحط بنزين بالسياره يوميا،
نعم.
تصلحها، عندك مفاتيح السياره، هاي يسموها انت كونستراكتيف اونر. هو صح السياره مو باسمك بس انت تستعملها
مثل مقاول.
تستعملها يوميا.
إيه،
بالضبط.
صح.
فانت تكون بمثابه بانه انت
صاحب
السياره
السيارة.
هم صاحب السياره، وهاي هم ما لك حق
هذا الحق بالانشورنس هذا. طبعا اي واحد يحب يتصل موجود التليفون على الشاشه ايضا 586-825-2015. الحلقه تنقل لايف على صفحه اذاعه صوت الغد، وايضا تنقل في اليوتيوب فيوتشر راديو ميشيغان، والرقم 586-825-2015 اللي يحب يسال. Yes, sorry.
So
the third one.
No, so I believe that you just translated directly the gas maintenance, things like that.
Yeah,
Is that what
because
you
I
did?
have to explain what is
Yeah.
constructive owner.
Right.
Yes.
So just for the English listeners,
Oh,
basically.
you heard only gas.
Well, no, I mean, I discussed this so often. I just know what she's saying
I
at this
know.
point.
Yes.
But for the English listeners, basically, if you're the one doing, if you have ownership interest in the vehicle, right? If you put gas in the car, if you do the maintenance on the vehicle, basically, if the car is staying at your house all the time and you're doing everything on it,
Right.
you're considered an owner even if the title isn't
not
in
in your
your
name.
name.
Yeah.
That's the idea. So
And I don't know if we have to explain. I'm sure you can see what the state is trying to prevent. From,
yeah,
with this exclusion.
right.
هي بالضبط الستيت هي اللي تقول يعني بالضبط مو كل احد يقدر يروح عن طريقها، لانه صدق بس للاشخاص اللي لهم حق بيها.
Yeah, the obvious situation is, hey, I'll trade you cars, and that way we both don't have to buy insurance. It doesn't work that way, you know.
بالضبط. مثلا انت اثنين يقول اوكي انا اسوق سيارتك وانت تسوق سيارتي في اليوم، واحنا ما ناخذ انشورنس، وكل واحد يروح عن طريق الميشيغان ستيت. ما
يخفى على الستيت يعني.
Right. So now another exception, this is actually the first exception in the statute, is the unlawful taking exception. And this should be, I think, pretty evident when we say it, but basically what it means is if you steal a car or you take it unlawfully, meaning without permission, you won't be eligible for benefits.
We have a call.
Okay, we have a call.
صوت الغد تفضلوا.
مرحبا أخ ساهر.
اهلا عزيزي.
عندي سؤالين أسألهم للمحاميين.
تفضل.
تقدر توصلني عليهم؟
تفضل
تفضل.
وياكم.
أوكي. أول سؤال، قبل 7 سنين أخويا ضرب الدكتور أبرة بالغلط، خلاه ينام بغيبوبة حوالي 7 أيام. أوكي. بعدين أخويا سوى عليهم شو؟ قالوا ما تاكل القضيه، ما بعرف شنو القضيه، يعني ما اعرف ليش. هسه قبل مده ابني قطعوا الشريان مالته مال المعده مالته وبنسوي سوء عليه يقولون تاكل القضيه، شنو السبب؟ هل اي طبيب عنده حصانات دبلوماسيه وعنده شو اسمه؟
لحظه واحده.
اوكي.
لحظه ابقى ويانا عزيزي.
بس احب اعرف ايش وقت صار الحادث مال اخوك؟
قبل 10 سنين.
10
بس
سنين.
كلهم لزم محاميه 3 قالوا له مثل القضيه، ما اعرف ليش.
اوكي. This is about
وابنك ايش وقت؟
ابني هسه صار مده صار مثلا 4 شهور 5.
اوكي اوكي.
قطع الشريان مال المعده مالته.
ابقى ويانا.
Okay.
Okay.
What's the question?
So it is medical malpractice.
Oh, okay.
And number one, his brother, the doctor gave him a wrong injection, and he was in a coma for 7 days.
Okay.
But this is 10 years ago.
Okay.
And the lawyers told him there is no case.
Okay. So the problem that I think the caller is going to run into, or rather the caller's brother is going to run into, is there's generally speaking a 2-year statute of limitation on medical malpractice claims. Now, with that said, I don't myself handle medical malpractice claims, and if he wants to call our office, we can talk with him in a little more detail. But there's also a discovery period. So if the issues relating to this, presumably because his brother was in you said a coma?
Yes.
Because his brother was in a coma, the issues with this would have been probably discovered more or less right away. So there's probably not a lot of not a good chance here that there's going to be a medical malpractice claim.
What I can say on in addition to what John said, we don't handle medical malpractice cases, but I do work with people that do.
Yes.
I have the best medical malpractice lawyers in the state. Give us a call at the office, 248-702-6641. We'll discuss the case with one of our medical malpractice attorneys, and we'll see what we can do. I'm not sure that is there anything we can do.
This is
Seems
the
like there's a long, you know.
The second one was his son 4 months ago. ابنك كان عنده عملية مسوي مال المعدة.
عملية أنا أربط العملية بس الشريان مالته، حتى الدكتور قال له I'm sorry سويت mistake بس الشريان مالته. ومثله خيطوه 8 ساعات عملية مال ابني.
Okay, he had surgery getting done, his son, 4 months ago.
Okay.
And they cut one of his arteries, and even the doctor says, "Oh, I'm sorry."
Mm-hmm.
But again, he went to a lawyer, and the lawyer says you do not have a case.
So in that case, what the lawyer is generally going to be looking at is whether or not there was a serious injury that was more or less a permanent injury. A lot of medical malpractice attorneys are going to be looking at that. What was the nature of the injury? Like, was you said he cut an artery? Was that then repaired? Or like what happened after the artery issue?
المحامي ده يسأل بأنه هل ابنك من قطع مالته الوريد هل صلحوه؟ لا.
اي صلحوه وراها اول اسبوع كملت 8 ساعات بالعمليه وقطعوا الشريان مالته، بعدين مرت له بعد اسبوع سووا له العمليه مرت له ونجحوها يعني سووها رجعوا الشريان مالته.
Yeah, they repaired it.
They repaired it. Okay. Were there any long-term health consequences as a result?
هل اكو اي خلل جسدي له من بعد هاي العمليه؟ صار عنده
لا ما في الحمد لله والشكر. بس شيء اخت تمارا بسأل شو هل الدكاتره عندهم حصانه دبلوماسيه؟ لو عندهم حصانه طبيبيه حتى القانون ما يقاومهم؟
لا ما عندهم.
What was that? I'm sorry.
Does the doctors have like shields or like somebody protecting them.
No, so what we can do for you, we'd be happy to refer you out to get you, or rather, we'll talk to you about your case in a little more detail, and then we will we'll see if there's something we can do on that one.
Yeah.
And then so call us at our office, and I'd be happy to discuss that in a little more detail, because it's a little bit difficult to say with certainty whether there's a claim there. There may be a claim on that one, given that it is within 2 years.
بالنسبة لابنك احتمال أكو قضية، بس أريد تتفضل وتخابرنا للمكتب حتى نقعد نحكي على يعني من خارج الاستوديو. رقم تليفوننا بالمكتب 248-702-6641.
سجلته؟
أنا بنتي حبيبي، بس شنو القضية هي بأنه الدكاترة، يعني الدكاترة هل هم شريكين والمحامية اللي يقولون هالشيء هذا؟ لا شو اسمه؟
لا ماكو شيء.
بالنسبة لك
I'm gonna explain after we get off the phone why med mal cases are
Difficult.
Yeah, difficult.
That's just they are.
They don't get persecuted, you know.
Yeah, it's true.
وراح نشرح ليش أكثر المحامين ما يأخذون، مو كل الحالات يأخذوها. المحامين اللي أكو أخطاء طبية ما يأخذون كل الحالات. راح نشرح ليش.
راح يشرح ليش.
أوكي
حبيبي. ثانك يو.
خابر المكتب، خابر على تمارة تجاوبك وراح.
اوكي حبيبي. ثانك يو.
And thank you for the call. We really appreciate it.
There was another caller.
Yeah, if that other caller wants to call back, we're happy to take it. We're more than happy to take it. I apologize. We can only do one at a time on the air.
I just want to comment on that call really quick. So med mal cases are very tricky. A lot of med mal cases don't get pursued.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of medical malpractice that happens in the state, but it doesn't get pursued. And the reason is it costs so much money to pursue these cases.
Yes.
You know, so it can cost anywhere from $50,000 to $100,000 to
just to get started.
Just to get started in the lawyer's costs. So whenever we have a medical malpractice referral, and the reason why most of them don't get pursued is because when we make the referral, the lawyer looks at how much he thinks the case is worth versus how much he's going to spend in costs.
Right.
And sometimes if the case is worth $100,000 or $200,000, he has to spend $100,000 and take the chance still. Sometimes they won't do it. And that's kind of the reason why, you know, I guess one of the reasons why I personally don't, you know, do medical malpractice.
But with that said, we've had several cases that we've gotten to our medical malpractice experts that we work with, and they've taken them and they've done a great job.
Absolutely.
I mean, some cases absolutely are worth it. And, you know, when doctors mess up, you know, jurors are going to look at that, especially these days, and say, hey, look, you know, you're a professional. You're supposed to have done it right. And if they've made a mistake, I mean, don't get me wrong. We definitely want to look at those cases, and if we think there's something there, we'll at least try to get you to something. We've had a lot of calls for medical malpractice cases. Like I said, most of them don't get pursued, but I have had some of them pursued, and they've ended up with very good settlements. Yeah.
اوكي مثل ما تفضلوا المحامين بانه المحامي الاخطاء الطبيه ليش مو دائما ياخذ القضايا مال الاخطاء الطبيه تكاليفها جدا جدا عاليه، توصل بين 50,000 الى 100,000. المحامي يشوف، وهاي طبعا تطلع اول شيء من جيب المحامي قبل ما يسوي اي شيء.
Just to give a perspective, the accident cases that we handle, you know, can range from 10 to 50,000. Just to give a perspective on how much more medical malpractice cases take.
Yes. Yeah. حتى نراويكم الفرق بين الحوادث السيارات والأخطاء الطبية. حوادث السيارات تقريبا بين 10 إلى 15,000 تكلف، بينما الحوادث الأخطاء الطبية بين 50 إلى 100 إذا مو أكثر.
قبل ما يصير الكيس.
بالضبط. هاي حتى بس يشوف أكو كيس، يعني مو يشوف هل هذا الكيس يمشي لو لا. بالضبط. هواية همينة احنا المحامين نتعامل وياهم ماخذين قضايا ونجحوا بيها ومشوا بيها، بس اكو قضايا لا. اهم شيء الطبيب المحامي يسأل اذا صار اكو هذا الخطأ الطبي، هل الشخص تعوق تاثرت حياته، شنو اللي الخلل اللي صار. اذا ماكو وتصلح وكل شيء مشى يقول لك انا اسف ماكو قضيه. بس اذا اكو خلل بعد ما تقدر تمشي، لو ماكو كان
صارت عنده
اذيه قويه فشي، ذن احتمال اكو
قضيه.
And tomorrow, don't let's not have the listeners forget, it's always a free consultation.
Yes.
So bad news is a lot of cases don't get taken med mal, but it's all good news. It's always a free consultation. Call. It takes 5 minutes, and we'll say yes or no.
مثل ما قلنا دائما رجاء اتصلوا، الاستشاره مجانيه.
نعم.
ما خسران شيء. مثل الاخ هسه اتصل وخليه يتصل بي واحنا
حتى لو يتصل بالمكتب نفس الشيء.
اي احد اتصلوا بينا، الاستشاره مجانيه، نساعدكم ونخليها بايد الاخصائيين، هم يقررون نعم او لا.
نعم. 586-825-2015 اللي اتصل يقدر يتصل مره ثانيه. بالنسبه للمحامين موجودين منا الى حد الساعه 2 بعد الظهر.
Yeah, and we really appreciate the questions. Anytime, call us on the air, call us at the office. So.
Sure.
Anyway, we were talking about the unlawful taking, and again, really simple. Basically, if you steal a car, you're not going to be eligible for benefits. I think that should be really obvious. Okay, and if that wasn't obvious to anyone, well, I'm glad you're listening.
Yeah, some good advice.
Yeah, some good advice. Don't steal a car. Yes.
ترى اذا بقت سياره انت ما راح تقدر تسوي انشورنس.
لا، اذا تبوك سياره وتسوق سياره مو مالتك وصرت بحادث، الميشيغان ستيت ما تغطي ولا تسوي اي شيء مع الاسف. فرجاء
Yeah. Now, technically, it is a little broader than that. If you also aren't allowed to take a car from someone without asking, when it's not your car, you don't have permission to take the vehicle. You take it anyway. You go run errands, and maybe you bring it back. But the problem is, if you didn't get permission, or at least had some kind of implied permission to take that vehicle, you could run into an issue collecting PIP benefits, and that's another thing. So just make sure if you're going to borrow someone's car, you ask them. I think that should be obvious, but make sure you do that.
النقطة الأخرى، مو بس إذا يعني بتبوق مثلا تستعمل سيارة الأهل وأنت ما ماخذ إذن من الأهل أو الأب أو الأم أو أي أحد، لازم تاخذ إذن من صاحب السيارة. هاي همينة واحدة من النقاط اللي راح من زوج وزوجة هواية تصير مشاكل بيناتهم
ياخذ سيارة ويطلع.
بالضبط. لازم واحد يخبر الأخ.
Yeah. Now, the next one is, a little bit new, actually, and it's if you're not a resident of the state of Michigan, unless you have your own Michigan policy, you're no longer eligible for PIP benefits. And this is a change. It used to be based on whether or not the insurance company did business in Michigan, things like that. But nowadays, if you are not a Michigan resident, unless you have a Michigan no-fault policy, you're not entitled to PIP benefits, meaning your medical bills aren't necessarily going to be covered.
النقطة الأخرى، وهي نقطة جديدة بالقانون، بأنه لازم تكون أنت واحد من سكان ميشيغان. إذا أنت مو من سكان ميشيغان ما لك حق، ما تستحق أي شيء.
Well, hold on, John. Hold on a second.
What do we got? What do we got?
Do we not have a case right now at the Supreme Court that's dealing with this exact issue?
Yes. So, I mean, there are open questions over this, for sure.
So we have actually... I'll explain the court system really quick. So we have a trial court, which is our circuit court in Michigan. Mm-hmm. We also have our appellate courts, which is our court of appeals. And there's also a Michigan Supreme Court, which is the highest court that Michigan has.
اوكي، عندنا احنا 3 محاكم، المحكمة العليا والمحكمة الاستثنائية وعندنا المحكمة اللي أعلى شيء بالميشيغان. بالضبط.
So a couple years ago we took a case where it was not a Michigan resident. We applied to MACP. We thought the statute was a little vague. Mm-hmm. We wanted the trial court level, and they appealed it. Mm-hmm. Guess what happened?
Tell us.
Reversed.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
And we appealed it to the Supreme Court, and it's going to be heard hopefully this year. We'll get some clarification on that.
اوكي. قبل اخذنا قضيه قبل كم سنه، وصاحب القضيه ما يعيش بميشيغان كان، واخذنا عن طريق الميشيغان ستيت، سوينا المعاملة، وصعدنا للمحكمة العليا استأنفوها، ردوها لنا. فهسه صعدنا لأعلى محكمة، ولازم هالسنة نسمع
يعني
الغد مالتهم.
صار عدة سنوات, many years.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
So you're right, Lawrence. So I guess I should clarify. We'll see, as with much with this act.
You think you will win it? This is what
So this is
what you think.
This is
our hope.
something that, you know,
It's as a whole.
we need clarification from the court. So
Yeah.
you know, the wording in the statute is not clear that we think. So the court's going to tell us who's right and who's wrong.
صعدنا للمحكمة الأعلى شيء، نريد توضيح ليش ما نقدر، ولأنه دائما بالقوانين مال حوادث السيارات دائما أكو في الثغرة، فهاي الثغرة هسه نستعملها
موجودة عند المحامي
بالضبط. نريد نشوف ليش ما يقبلون. So then we will see.
Yeah, without going into a lot of without going into too many details, I think it's a question of there are different parts of a statute. There are different parts that say different things.
صوت الغد تفضلوا.
ساهر, this is Amira Bajoka. عندي سؤال قاجي إذا ممكن.
تفضلي ست أميرة.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I have a friend أحكيها بالعربي وبالإنجليزي.
كيف تحكي بالإنجليزي؟
I have a friend who purchased a car, a used car, من dealership in California, from California.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the car needed a little bit of repair, so they delivered the car to a shop where they told them where to send it to where to be shipped, where to be shipped, where to do السيارة.
in Michigan.
هي من كاليفورنيا دزوها إلى ميشيغان. يعني لما دزوها إلى ميشيغان منطوا لهم التايتل مال السيارة للplace that they are supposed to repair the car. And when we called, قالوا لهم السائق نسى ينطي التايتل. بعدين القضية السائق ضيع التايتل. And now we are looking to do a new title. And it's been over a month trying to get the title. Does it take that long to get the title or not?
So I'm sorry. Let me make sure I understand this. So you got a title, or you never got a title at any point?
No, we never got the title. No,
So,
they delivered the car, but they did not give the title to the shop.
The driver
And
they lost it. Oh, okay. So they're probably gonna.
So my first question was going to be, how did the transaction happen? Usually when you pay for a car, you get the title in hand, and then you go to the Secretary of State to register it.
So I think we lost the caller, but my question would be, it sounds like this was a person. It sounds like this would be a person-to-person transaction, and so essentially someone, I'm guessing here based on what she's saying, that someone paid for this car, maybe in cash, maybe not, but it wasn't like through a dealership, because usually when it's through a dealership, the dealership will handle those title interactions for you.
This is what she said.
Tell me.
She bought the car from a dealership in California.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
Wow. Okay,
and
I missed that part.
It got shipped to Michigan, and the title was with the driver.
Oh.
The driver forgot.
He lost it.
The transportation driver.
I see.
Forgot to give it.
I missed that.
Then it looks like he lost it.
Okay.
And now they wanted to get a new one.
So they can request a new one through the
John,
Secretary of State.
They
usually
can request a new one yet, because the car is still titled under.
But the owner, the old owner, the
owner, exactly.
The dealership should be able to request a new title from their Secretary of State's office.
She can't request one yet because she doesn't have a title that says this car was purchased by her.
Her question was.
صوت الغد.
Yes, this is Amira Sahar. Yeah, اشتروها السيارة. والله ما أدري من اشتروها, but I know it was from California, and one of those cars that they were needs repair. So I don't know if it was a dealership or it was a dealership. It was a dealer that they bought it from. But the car was shipped from California to Detroit, but shipped without the title.
Right.
But the story is that the first time they told us that the driver forgot to get the title. The second time, the driver lost the title. The third time, we are waiting to get a new title.
Yeah.
My question to you, Mr. Qadi, is that how long does it take to get second title? a copy of the title
You know,
or reissue a title.
I think what the issue is that, you know, they're not going to take care of this, right? I think this can happen within a couple days.
Although I don't know because it's California, and California Secretary of State does work differently from Michigan.
So in Michigan, if you lost your title, you would go to Secretary of State, you tell them you lost your title.
You get it right away.
They would issue you a new one. I think that they would even give you one on the spot at sometimes.
I don't.
Right.
They'll require some proofs probably,
Right.
But
the issue is, Amira, you're depending on them to do this, right? You can't go to the Secretary of State yourself and take care of this. Now you're waiting on them because they're the ones that have to get a new title to sign over to you guys. So that's the issue.
yeah,
I don't know how California stuff works, but in Michigan you get it instantly, or you get it in the mail within a week or so. So I think it's just a matter of the company actually going and following up and actually doing something about it. I don't think it should take that long.
Okay.
yeah. It is a little hard to tell though. It is a little hard to tell though because it is another state, and we practice in Michigan, so.
Yeah.
So I will call the Secretary of State there and check that. Thank you so much, Azizi. I am so proud
by
that
the way,
You're
by the
welcome.
way, I think you booked my honeymoon a while back. I don't know if you remember
your
that or not.
honeymoon and your parents' honeymoon
Yes.
too. I
Thank
did
you.
your parents' honeymoon too.
Thank
لا
you.
لا تكبرين
Thank you.
نفسك.
Oh, there we go.
I'm doing
you.
second and third generation now.
There you go.
I am very proud of you, حبيبي.
ست أميرة معروفة. أهلا وسهلا بك. هلا.
الله بيعطيك
I
الخير.
was a travel agent.
Oh wow, that's exciting.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Well, yeah, and again, thanks again to the caller, and any more callers, call on in. We're more than happy to field any calls that we
طبعا
can.
أي واحد عنده سؤال استفسار اللي اتصل بي قبل شوية أيضا خليه يتصل مرة ثانية. موجودين المحامين، المحامي لورنس والمحامي جان حتى يجاوبوكم على كل أسئلتكم. 586-825-2015 اللي دا يتفرج علينا بالفيسبوك أو اليوتيوب موجود الرقم على الشاشة.
Now we were talking about the exceptions to getting PIP benefits, and the next one is
We'll
basically
get through them, right?
well, we might get through them today. We'll see. But basically, the next one is just you're a named excluded operator. So if you purchase an insurance policy,
Yes.
right, and then you say this person will not drive the car, they give you a reduced premium for that. But if that person then drives the car, they don't get benefits because they were excluded on the policy.
Yeah.
This again, really obvious, but
النقطة
Worth repeating.
الأخرى
المهمة.
لأنها جدا مهمة إذا تشتري الانشورنس
نعم.
وتقول الأهل وياك على الانشورنس وتقول مثلا أخويا ممنوع يسوق السيارة وساقها وصار عنده حادث ما يطلع له عن طريق ميشيغان أي انشورنس.
So this would be a situation where, let's say, someone has a bad driving record, and because he's added to the policy, the premium is sky high. So you can actually exclude certain people from your policy, and the policy should, premium should go down. So that's where this would happen.
أكثر العائلات خلينا نقول الكبيرة اللي عندهم هواية مرات الأطفال بالبداية صار عندهم ريكوردز كبيرة
نعم.
فالإنشورنس مالتهم يصير عالي فيخلوهم يعني ما يخلوهم على الباليسي كاسم ممنوع يسوقون حتى يقلل سعر الباليسي
بس
مالتهم.
إذا ساقوا وصار حادث
ما لهم أي حق
ما
كل شيء.
And then the final exception to the general rule that people are entitled to get their medical bills paid when they're in an accident is basically when the owner or operator, or basically when you purchase a policy and you exclude yourself from PIP benefits, right? So you can now, as we've talked about on the air several times, purchase a policy for $250,000 worth of benefits,
Yes.
unlimited benefits, or you can, in certain circumstances, exclude yourself. And if you exclude yourself under a policy, you can't then go to the MACP and say, hey, I want to get medical benefits from you instead. You're just excluded.
مثل ما تفضلنا بالحلقات السابقة بأنه إذا تشتري الانشورنس مالتك وتقول أنا أريد للطبابة مثلا 250 وأكو قسم لا يقول أنا ما أريد طبابة نهائيا. إذا أنت ما عندك طبابة على الانشورنس مالتك ما إلك حق تروح عن طريق ميشيغان ستيت.
With that said, almost everybody else is eligible for benefits. So, Lawrence, I think you wanted to talk a little bit about the process, or
ما عدا هذه الأشياء اللي قلناها البقية يقدرون يروحون عن طريق ميشيغان.
So the process is simply, you make. So actually, I wanted to add one more thing to
Sure.
this. So, whenever somebody applies to the MACP for benefits, let's say he was, he was driving someone else's car. They didn't have insurance. Okay. You're required, obviously, under Michigan law to keep insurance on your vehicle. What happens now the state is out for some money because now they're going to provide benefits to this person. So what's the state going to do? They're going to try to get that money back. So they are going to actually, and I have seen them file a lawsuit against the uninsured owner for whatever they pay out on this claim.
Yeah.
So just to be careful with that.
It's called seeking subrogation.
Yes. شايفين هواية قضايا تروح عند الشخص بده يسوق سيارة مع صديقة ما مشتري انشورنس صار بحادث هو السيارة مو مالته وبس ماخذها هذا النهار هو مو الاونر ولا هو اللي يستخدمها يوميا صار حادث إلا حق يروح عن طريق ولاية ميشيغان بس ولاية ميشيغان تقدر ترجع على اللي
مسوي الحادث
لا على السيارة باسمه على عند السيارة باسمه يقدر يروحون وراء ويطلبون المصاريف اللي صرفوها على أبو اللي صار بالحادث.
لأنه الستيت تريد فلوس.
No, one of the things I find interesting about this too is the subrogation claims. I have to mention this because this is the strangest thing about the Reform No Fault Act. The order priority only includes your own and then generally speaking a resident relative, and then they go to the MACP, and it no longer includes the owner of the vehicle. So in prior,
used to happen way more.
Right.
You used to be able to go,
Yeah, you used to seek benefits from the owner or the driver of the vehicle you were in, and so it made sense that MACP would seek subrogation against that owner or driver. It makes a lot less sense now, except in a resident relative situation. And there's an argument I think to be made, and I wouldn't rely on this, but there's an argument I think to be made is, well, what are the damages that the MACP have actually incurred if they wouldn't have had to pay these, if they would have had to pay these benefits anyway, right? Regardless of whether or not the owner of the vehicle had insurance. But with that said, what you've said is correct. That is the current state of the law, but everything is a little bit in flux right now because it's a new act.
Right.
قبل كان الخطوات اللي كانوا ياخذوها القانونيه بانه اول شيء انت لازم عندك انت الانشورنس مالتك، اذا ما انت عندك انشورنس لازم اذا احد بالاهل عندهم انشورنس. كانت الخطوه الثالثه كانت عن طريق الانشورنس مال السياره. هاي الخطوه ورا 2019 شالوها سووها مباشرة. تقدر تروح عن طريق ولاية ميشيغان الانشورنس مالتها. فلذلك لازم واحد يكون جدا واضح بأنه إذا تركب سيارة وإذا ما عليها انشورنس يقدرون يرجعون على صاحب
السيارة
الأصلي ويأخذون عند المصاريف. كل قانون أكو ثغرة، وهاي همينة أبيها ثغرات.
هاي أبيها مشكلة.
ودائما أكو فد منطقة إحنا نسميها رصاصي، لا هي بيضة ولا هي سوداء.
اللي يدخلون من خلالها.
اللي لازم نعرف هل راح نروح يمنا لو يسرى مثلا.
صح.
You know what else changed after the new law is the MACP, whenever we'll go through the process, but whenever you used to get assigned to an insurance carrier, it was generally an unlimited policy.
Right.
Now they cap it at $250,000.
That's right.
Yes.
So huge windfall for the insurance companies. But
الشغلة الأخرى كان قبل الطبابة عن طريق ولاية ميشيغان مفتوحة، ماكو بها حد معين. ورا 2019 بدلوها سووها 250 واللي هي هاي كلش فادت الانشورنس.
نعم. طبعا مستمعينا مشاهدينا الكرام، نحن في برنامج الإصابات الشخصية مع المحامي لورنس قاجي. معنا المحامي لورنس قاجي والمحامي شرودر، ومعنا أيضا الأخت تمارا الباراليغال في قاجي لو فيرم، وهي اللي تترجم، وأخوكم ساهر المالح طبعا
All right, so John, you're eligible.
Okay.
You're eligible for a
All
claim.
right, we're eligible.
What do you do next?
All right. So the next part is basically an application, right? So it's a little bit complicated for the average person, especially if they don't understand legalese, i.e., half of the things we've been saying. But there's either an online or a written application that will be filled out, and it contains a whole bunch of information, basically, about your personal details, your employment history, what happened in the accident, and things of that nature. So the next step is to fill out an application either by yourself or with an attorney.
الخطوة الثانية شلون نتقدم على الانشورنس خلال ولاية ميشيغان. طبعا أول شيء لازم نسويه هي نملي استمارة. هاي الاستمارة لو تملي باليد لو تملي عن طريق الإنترنت. نفضل بأنه يكون محامي وياك من تمليها، لا تمليها أبدا وحدك. وتبيها هواية معلومات كلش
ما تفهم، مو كل واحد يفهمها
وتخربطها من الواحد.
Yeah, and the reason why they're so significant is because MACP can hold a signing an insurance carrier or just flat out deny the whole claim based on how you answer these questions.
اعتمادا على الأجوبة اللي أنت تجاوبها على هاي الاستمارة، ولاية ميشيغان تقدر تقول عندك غلط، أنا ما لك حق تاخذ، ما لك حق نعطيك أي انشورنس. وبعدين صفر كل شيء ما نقدر نسويه.
And you got to be very careful. There could be a very innocent mistake that happens on these forms and applications, but the courts do not see it that way. They will dismiss your case if you say something wrong.
And I have a great example of that actually.
لازم ندير كلش بالنا شلون نجاوب الأسئلة. مرات نسوي خطأ بسيط عفوي، بس مع الأسف المحكمة ما تشوف أي شيء عفوي. إذا غلط انتهى.
Yes. And I think the vast majority of people are trying to do it accurately. I think that they forget things or they make mistakes. And a really what would seem like a small example to any regular person filling this out, but actually can become very significant, would be something as simple as the address where you live and who lives with you. Right. So, you put down your address on this application and then you put down who lives with you. But I've seen circumstances where people will tell the MACP who's living with them now, and they forget someone who was living with them at the time of the accident, or vice versa. And because of the way the Michigan statutes are written, that is incredibly significant for the purposes of assigning an insurance company or not.
واحدة من أبسط الأشياء يسألك منو عايش وياك بالبيت.
هذا قصدك بعد الحادث.
هذا بعد الحادث. هاي نريد نملي الاستمارة. واحدة من الأسئلة تسألك منو عايش وياك بالبيت. أول شيء تجاوب فلان فلان فلان. إذا نسيت أحد لأنه مثلا صار الحادث شهر أو شهرين، لو يعني واحد يسهو ونسى يسمي أحد، هو هاي غلطة عفوية، بس المحاكم ما تشوفها أي عفويا، موجودة والقضية كلها تروح.
Here's another innocent example that can happen. So from what I recall, John, the application asked you if you have any medical bills as part of this accident, right?
It does.
Right. So let's say you get into an accident, you go to the hospital, and you leave the hospital, and start to fill out one of these applications, and they've asked if you have any medical bills, and you don't know how this process works. You gave them your health insurance, they billed your health insurance. You don't think that you have any medical bills, but you do.
And then you say, "I'm not going to. I don't expect to have any medical bills."
And then you say no, and you don't expect to have any, and then there goes one of the basis to.
واحدة من الأمثلة الأخرى وراء الحادث تروح للمستشفى. المستشفى بالبداية ما عندها لا ماكو كليم ماكو كل شيء. تأخذ مالتك الانشورنس الطبي وتدزه للانشورنس الطبي مالتك للبلات. فواحدة من الأسئلة على هاي الاستمارة تقول هل أنت عندك بلات؟ أنت عفويا تقول لا أنا ما عندي، بس هي موجودة ولازم تقول إيه أكو موجودة. تقول لك أوكي إذا أنت ما عندك قضية خلاص انتهى.
خلاص بعد أنت ما تقدر.
If you don't have any bills, what's the basis of the claim? And
this is the reason you have to have lawyer with you.
lawyer بالضبط.
In the sister example, I was about to use an example of a sister. So just leaving off a sister in an application can cause a huge headache and delay, because like, let's say you put on the application that you live alone, but at the time of the accident, your sister lived with you. Well, now the MACP has to go back and do an investigation on the sister to see if she has insurance, because if she lived with you and had insurance, then that insurance company would be a higher order priority than anyone assigned by the Michigan Assigned Claims.
At the time of the accident.
At the time of the accident, right.
Yeah.
And so little tiny things, which you think, well, why does my sister matter, right? I've actually had clients ask me that. Why does my brother matter? Why does my sister? Because
we are a family. How?
Right, they're family, but they're not. They weren't in the accident. But it doesn't matter if they were in the accident. It just matters if there's auto insurance coverage.
For the state and the insurance, they don't care if you are, even if he is your brother or sister, whatever.
سؤال جدا بسيط.
نعم.
عايش وحدك؟ ايه عايش وحدي. يجوز بيوم الحادث كان اختك باقي يمك فد اسبوعين وانت ناسي تقول، وهم يعرفون بانه انت وين قاعد جنبك، فلازم يسوون مالتهم التحقيق ويشوفون هل الاخت عندها هل ما عندها. هاي كلها اشياء تعرقل وتخلي علامات استفهام على الاستمارة.
Yeah, so they actually do care a lot because yeah. So, but anyway, so then they also ask other information like employment information. That's another good example.
Yeah.
And this is one where a lot of people mess up too, because what is considered employment can be very broad under the No Fault Act, and sometimes people will leave off or put on things that might not be applicable there too.
السؤال الآخر اللي هي على الاستمارة، هل الشغل إذا أنت تشتغل نعم أو لا، وهذا سؤال جدا واسع. أكو أشياء تنحط على الاستمارة، وأكو أشياء ماكو داعي تنحط على الاستمارة.
نعم.
فهاي همينة الثغرة واحد يخطأ بيها وتروح عليك التغطية مال ولاية ميشيغان.
Yeah, and as one example, passive income like investments won't count for lost wages, but even things where you're not officially an employee, like an independent contractor like Uber or Lyft or something like that, that would count for potential lost wages. So there's some interesting hiccups there in terms of, what to put on and what not.
الشغله الاخرى بانه مثلا للشغل، اذا انت مثلا تشتغل اوبر لو ليفت لو هاي، فهذا فعلا هذا دخل يعني يومي وعندك دخل. بس اذا انت عندك بالستاك ماركت
هاي
تفرق، هاي مو انكم، هاي مو دخل. هاي لازم تدير بالك
شيء ثابت يسموه،
مو بس شيء ثابت، هذا ما له علاقه بالدخل اليومي
مالك
بالضبط. فهاي ما يصير نقدر نحطها.
صح.
اوكي.
طبعا باقي لنا تقريبا 4 دقائق او 5. We have 4 or 5 minutes. We have to cover everything what we have.
Indeed. So, Lawrence, did you have some more thoughts you wanted to add on the?
So, on top of the application, sometimes they'll want a recorded statement from our clients,
yes,
right?
Yes.
Which is
or a non-recorded statement or an EUO or whatever.
Which is, similar to the application where it could potentially, hold up your claim and not getting it assigned. So,
واحدة من الأشياء الأخرى اللي هي من يشوفون أكو فشي بالاستمارة علامة حمراء أو علامة استفهام، راح يسألون بأنه يريدون تحقيق، يسوون تحقيق. وأكو نوعين تحقيق، تحقيق عادي مو مسجل، وأكو تحقيق لازم تحت الحلفان.
Okay.
Yeah. Now let's say that it gets.
No, we are done.
Oh, we're done?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, can I give one final parting word here?
No.
Nope. Okay. All right. I can't. That's it.
Thank you, Mr.
No, thank you. Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Mr. John.
Thank you so much.
شكرا ست تمارا عزيزتي. مستمعينا الكرام، مشاهدينا الأعزاء، كنا وبرنامج المحامي لورنس قاجي. نشكركم لاستماعكم، نشكر لمشاهدتكم، نشكر اللي اتصلوا بنا أيضا، ونقول لكم إلى اللقاء في حلقة قادمة.